Can childhood cause narcissism? Researchers and psychologists, therapists and counsellors have lots of valid theories of why people end up on the narcissistic personality disorder. So what could happen in a narcissist childhood for them to end up the way they are and hurting so many people without a care? As a narcissist is all about themselves, they use others to better themselves. They feel entitled to exploit people for their own gains, and they lack the empathy to care for who they hurt in the process of getting their own needs met. They do this in a pathological way. They pathologically hurt those around them and destroy those around them. From the extreme grandiose narcissist to the extremely vulnerable narcissist and all the others in between, they go around destroying people's lives without a care for who they hurt along the way, as long as they get their own needs met. A human sense of self-worth develops in early childhood and the relationships that they have with those around them. Those on the narcissistic personality disorder often have a lack of self-worth, and there is people with a lack of self-worth who are not on the disorder. So if a lack of self-worth is why a person would end up on the narcissistic personality disorder spectrum, and self-worth, self-esteem is developed in early childhood, then it's more than possible that something went wrong within the narcissist childhood for them to end up on the spectrum. Now, there is people with a lack of self-esteem that do their best to people please and to help others. Just because someone has a lack of self-worth does not make them a narcissist. It could be down to a number of things why a childhood could cause narcissism within an adult. First, they've suffered some form of trauma, perhaps ending up with PTSD. Yet instead of doing the inner work and recovering, they carry the pain throughout life. There is plenty of hurt people who help people. Most people have suffered some form of trauma within their lives, yet there are so many good people that go around helping others. Then there are those hurt people who hurt people. Although trauma at the hands of another is never the victim's responsibility, the victim is never to blame, and it is never the victim's fault. It is always the abuser's responsibility for their toxic, hurtful behaviour towards others. However, healing our traumas are our responsibility. We can reach out for help, and there are many ways to recover. However, we do have to do the work, as a narcissist never sees any issues within their own toxic behaviour and always blames those around them. You cannot help them. You cannot save them. That's something we have to want and we have to do within ourselves. A narcissist will just go around blaming all others for problems within their own lives, never healing, never learning, and never growing. Attachment in early childhood is what we attach with our primary caregivers. It's something all humans have a need to do, a need to form a secure bond with our primary caregivers. The certainty we will get our food when we are hungry and we are too young to get it for ourselves. The social development of our minds to help our interactions with those around them. Learning from our primary caregivers what is and what is not acceptable. The basic human needs for the body is a good varied diet of food, water, shelter. For the mind, it needs love and connection, hugs, play, communication, growth, a place to learn and develop. Certainty, a place to feel secure. Uncertainty, a variety of experiences to learn new skills. Contribution, to play our part in society. significance, to feel like we do matter, a need to feel understood, a need to grow and develop a sense of self, interaction with others. If this is missing in early childhood, people can have profound deficits within their own brains functioning. And if it's missing in childhood, it doesn't make someone grow up to have the narcissistic personality disorder. However, it can make them grow up to be people pleasers and accept behaviour from others that they should never have accepted, as it's learned behaviour. As you grow, you recognise how your primary caregivers, your parents, your teachers, your friends, your family treat others, and you can accept that treatment as normal, or you can go against that treatment. Or there's two ways people can either end up on the disorder or end up being people pleasers. Being a parent is a tough job. We make mistakes. We learn on the job. We get it wrong sometimes. Parenting in early childhood is that unconditional love, the responsibility of taking care of someone, watching and helping children learn and grow and learning things that they love for themselves and helping them achieve these. Proud of the child for who they are, for themselves, and not who the parent wants them to be. That doesn't make the parent a narcissist. If they want their children to succeed, often the narcissistic parent taking credit for their child's successes and not recognising their children's achievements, dismissing the child's accomplishments, invalidating the child's feelings, puts the parent towards the spectrum. Parents are there to guide and support children, love unconditionally, while imposing appropriate boundaries, values, beliefs, give and take, what's right, what's wrong, how to treat others, respect, manners, while at the same time giving positivity and praise for who they are without overdoing it, which is why we make mistakes, and being a parent isn't the easiest job in the world. For the narcissistic personality disorder to develop, it's not a case of a depressed parent or a parent making mistakes. There has to be something very wrong within the narcissist childhood, and often the narcissistic parent had a tough childhood. Again, we can all have a tough childhood. That doesn't mean people have to grow up to hurt others. It is never an excuse for the disorder. It is never an excuse for the abuse. It is just a reason behind the disorder. So when things go wrong in a childhood, it's not always the parent's fault. There can be lots of circumstances, from teachers to religious leaders to friends to other family members, to being raised in cults. Just because someone is a narcissist doesn't always make their parent a narcissist, although often this can be the case. If they have a parent on the disorder, a narcissistic parent often raises a scapegoat child or a golden child or the forgotten child. Some children will grow up with greater empathy towards others. Some will grow up being people pleasers. Some will grow up with the narcissistic personality disorder, and some will grow up with a greater sense of self and awareness, and they will not be told how they should think or feel. They will be more driven, more determined to think and feel for themselves, but they will not go around hurting other people. So it's vital that children who do have a narcissistic parent have limited contact with that parent and gets lots of boundaries, positivity and praise with the healthy parent. As a narcissistic parent relates to the children as an extension of themselves, so the child is never seen for who they truly are, but for what they can give, what they can provide, what they can do for the narcissistic parent. Often the child is made to feel more of a friend to the parent as they grow. Then they end up taking over the parental role as the child has to comfort the parent, regulate the parent's emotions and feelings. So the child's self-development is slowed as they have to meet the narcissistic parent's needs. This happens either by the parent making the child the scapegoat, repeatedly putting the child down and not allowing the child to express their own opinions, their own thoughts, their own feelings, their own true sense of self. If a child is crushed and criticised at every turn, they can become extremely vulnerable. So the child grows to believe that they are not important, to feel insignificant. They are often classed as the black sheep of the family just because they will not conform to the narcissistic parent's demands. A scapegoat child can often start to hide their feelings away, burying them deep within themselves to protect themselves from feeling hurt through being ignored and receiving constant criticism and humiliation. Or they are ignored because they don't conform. The child may develop the narcissistic personality disorder to cope and to feel better within themselves, or they may grow to have greater empathy, to be more sympathetic towards others, knowing just how much it hurts, wanting to protect others, not wanting to dismiss other people's feelings, not wanting to let people know about their successes because they don't want to hurt somebody else's feelings, often becoming a people pleaser for fear of rejection. Or the narcissistic parent makes the child the golden child, idolizing them, making them believe they are better than all other children, better than their siblings. So the narcissist forces them into hobbies that the narcissistic parent enjoys, not allowing the child to develop their sense of what they enjoy for themselves. The narcissistic parent will give excessive praise for things the child achieves, and when the child beats other people, I don't mean beats as in physically, I mean wins that race, wins that trophy, gets that medal, gets the best score on the test. And they'll also give the golden child excessive criticism when they fail to hit the top marks, when they fail to win that race, when they fail to be the best sportsman. They'll also often ignore the child when the child is unable to reach the narcissistic parent's expectations. Again, the golden child may grow with greater empathy towards others, be able to relate to people who feel hurt as they know how it feels, and they may grow to be people pleasers or to want to help as many people as they can, or they may grow to develop the narcissistic personality disorder. And then we have the forgotten child, often given no encouragement, no support, ignored completely, and left to do as they please, neglected in so many ways. Again, they may grow with empathy towards others and want to help people out so people don't feel lonely, so people don't feel ignored or misunderstood. They may praise people, or they may grow with more narcissistic traits towards others. In any of these cases, the child may learn they have to act a false way to who they indeed are in order to feel loved, to get loved, to feel respected, to feel appreciated, to feel valid, to feel like they exist. So they have to develop fake qualities to protect themselves from their parents and also to get approval from their parents. To cope, they can remove their vulnerabilities, creating a false self to please others. A narcissistic parent may burden their child with all their problems. So the child almost becomes a counsellor to the parent, or they continually put the child down, and the child is continually trying to do better to get that praise. And it all messes with the child's true sense of who they are, the reality. Children end up with so much self-doubt and insecurities around life and people itself. Children can become aware of parents' moods and how they need to act around the parent to protect themselves, as they learn from a young age that if they do not conform to the narcissistic parent's demands, that the parent may tantrum, give criticism, withdrawal, affection from the child. So the child ends up creating a false outer self to protect themselves. Then that false outer self takes over their mindset to create a false inner self, as they don't often get to experience reality through all the gaslighting and manipulation that a narcissistic parent does to them. Yet they accept it as reality, often believing this is just how all humans are. Most toddlers sulk and lie to protect themselves. Instinct and human nature, they usually grow out of this. Teenagers with hormones can appear to be narcissistic. Again, they often grow out of this. People who are not on the spectrum can lie if they believe it'll hurt another's feelings, if they know the truth. But the guilt from that lie will usually hurt them, and they'll come clean at some point, and they'll not just keep running with the lie. Some adults who aren't narcissistic can seem sulky if they're feeling misunderstood. Those children raised by narcissistic parents who grow up to be narcissistic themselves as the childhood, they have to disconnect themselves from their vulnerabilities, from their disappointment, from their self-awareness in order to protect themselves. Now, again, just because someone was raised in a narcissistic household with a narcissistic family member, it's not an excuse for them to grow up and hurt other people. There is plenty of people that are raised with a narcissistic parent that do not grow up to hurt people. They grow up to help people. So it is never an excuse, but it can be a reason behind the behaviour. I shall add some links in the description to where you can find me on social media, and some links to the online courses that I have available. I shall also add the video on the scapegoat child to give more understanding of that. Wherever you are in your journey to rediscovering who you are, finding your life and finding your own happiness, keep going. You can do this. Start creating those visions, those dreams. I know it's a difficult time right now, and however you handle this time right now is right for you. Do not compare yourself to other people. You are only ever in competition with yourself. So how you want to handle it is how you want to handle it. Do not compare yourself to how someone else is handling the current times. Thank you for listening. Bye.